Hi all, this is Jan of the Jan Files. Today is January 14th, 2026. I'm sure you're like me that you think a whole lifetime has passed in the past 2 weeks. We are in a new place in this country. We are literally operating under fascism. Our laws are meaningless. They're absolutely meaningless. And the problem is, it is the government who is breaking the law. It is the DOJ. It is ICE. It is Donald Trump. It is Pam Biondi and so many others that have no regard for our Constitution and for our laws. And we now find ourselves in a place where ICE is shooting people, beating people up, dragging them out of their cars, smashing their cars, all kinds of things, all which is illegal, folks. And the DOJ is behind this, which they showed because they just are not going to prosecute Jonathan Russo, who murdered Renee Good. They're not going to prosecute him. So over like the last 2 days, 6 prosecutors, Justice Department prosecutors have resigned. So this is what we're going to have to really get a hold of. And the other part of this is that we're going to have to, starting today, I called Hakeem Jeffries. We need to get on the phones again, because he literally is suggesting, rather than defund ICE, which I think should happen, and we should start all over again, because we still have border control, folks. Those people are still in place. It's a different organization. They're only supposed to operate 100 miles outside the border, but they're still in place. They're also breaking the law because they're operating other places. So, but defund ICE. Hakeem Jeffries has said that he wants to change, add legislation to funding the budget. And I called his office and I said, I'm sorry, we already have laws in place that they're breaking. What makes you think that by adding a new law for them to break, that's going to do any good? Somebody really needs to explain that to me. So I called his office. I suggest any Democrat call his office because he's the Speaker of the House. Call, leave a message. I spoke to somebody. Whatever, however you do it, call. Pressure, pressure, pressure. I will try to find out in the next couple of days who's siding with him and who's not, and I'll let you know. So, that's my rant about ICE. They are going to, if allowed, destroy this nation in concert with the DOJ and concert with everything else that Donald Trump is doing, including illegally invading other countries. Now, let's move on for a second, because we also need to focus on the Epstein Files. And there are 2 new developments. They're not earth-shaking, but they are worth paying attention to. One, we heard about that Massey and Ro Khanna, the representatives that are fighting have fought to release the Epstein Files. Today they actually filed I'm not sure whether it's a petition or lawsuit. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but they filed a legal document with the courts requesting that a master be put in place to review the files. The DOJ has until Friday to respond. So that's an important piece, because if that goes forward, we could actually really see what's in some of those files. But if the court does that, And the other thing that happened today was the victims wrote a letter to the Inspector General of the DOJ asking him to review the files, and they specifically were saying the files have been redacted improperly. They have redacted the names of people who have committed offenses, and they have at some points, left the names of the women out there, which is the exact opposite of what's supposed to happen, right? So they sent that letter to the Inspector General of the DOJ. I have no idea who he is. I have no idea if he has any morals or not. So, I don't know whether he's a holdover or whether he's somebody new. But anyway, those are the two big things that happened today in the Epstein case. Again, we need to hold their feet to the fire. Now, Bill and Hillary Clinton, I think it's a mistake not for them to testify. I think what I would require if I was them would be to testify in public. But I don't know how that's all going to shake out, because also I'm always of the position, I don't care who you are, what your party is, if you participated in this, that the Epstein, I want to say Epstein's world, because I think, and I've heard a lot of other people say this recently, that Epstein's world is probably bigger than any of us think, that this operation was bigger and probably multinational. There's definitely some ties to Israel in this. And I don't know what other countries could be involved or people from what other countries. But as far as I'm concerned, we should be pushing on all levels. Again, calling or writing to the House Oversight Committee, the Democrats in the House, because the Republicans have no interest in the truth. And now there is one, and I've hesitated as to whether I should talk about this, because I'm not sure of the validity. But on the other hand, I think it will sort itself out. So if it isn't real, if what this, when I tell you about it, what this guy has said is not real, that will come out. But I am no longer dismissing anything that I hear because it seems outrageous. And this guy's story, his name is Sasha Barros Riley. And it's on the internet. You can see, you can listen actually to him telling a woman, and she says she's a reporter. I'm not sure about that. But telling a woman about his experience as a young boy when his father trafficked him to Epstein and Trump and company, is what he claims. Okay. And he also claims that there are other Congress people involved, including Jim Jordan and who was the other? Biggs, Andy Biggs. Now, at this point, I'm going to bring out stuff like that. Let's go through it. Let's see if we figure out whether it's right or not. I'm saying right now that there is another story out there that may or may not be true. But at this point, we should look at it. And we should question it. Because I think all's fair in love and war. So, and what I mean by that is as I don't want to, the word out to lunch is not really, but as bizarre as this story is, it may be so bizarre that it actually is part of what did happen. So I'm not going to go through all that was talked about. I think you're going to need, for people who have been abused, you're going to need a big, big, big trigger warning on it. So that's also out there. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up today is they have just stopped visas from many countries. Now, can you guess which countries those are? Do you think they are predominantly white people in them? They're Black and Asian. That's who they want to prevent coming through a visa, coming to America. Now, the reason they're saying this is because they don't want them coming and ending up on public assistance. There is, let me say this really clearly, there is no such thing. The only time that there's any kind of public assistance for anyone other than a U.S. citizen is if you get sick, and so sick that you have to be treated. Then Medicaid steps in, and it's not ongoing. The Medicaid only, steps in when you have some sort of trauma, accident, or you're pregnant. And that's the only public sustenance, or what's the word? Whatever. There is no other thing. That's all bullshit. So again, the truth is meaningless. Our laws are meaningless. And very soon our Congress is going to be completely and utterly meaningless. So again, what do? I don't think it's changed since I commented on 2 days ago. But I can tell you that I look to the people of Minneapolis and I see courage. I see people fighting for their homes and their community. And that is incredibly important. And for those of us who are not directly impacted by this because of either where we live or the color of our skin, we need to pay attention. And if possible, have, local governments aware of what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and demanding what they will do in the case of a Minneapolis happening to their city or their town. I think we really need to know where everybody stands now. We need to know what side you're on, because we're there. Either you defend the United States of America, our Constitution, and our laws, or you defend and protect Trump. Those are the only two sides here, folks. You are not interested in our laws. You're not interested in our Constitution. Nothing. If you defend what ICE is doing and you lie about what you see with your own eyes, and you lie about our laws. Our laws are very clear, folks, and attorneys are making them clear. So this idea that all she should do is comply with the law, no, she was complying with the law. Does anybody get that? Does everybody know what the laws are? And here's the point, and I said to somebody else when I was at a protest the other day, they handed, here's this little card, right? About what you can and cannot do, what's lawful. And I said, what's the point? They're not going to listen. They don't care what the law says. We've seen it time and time again. So I think we have to keep, and the other thing is we need to start talking within our communities. I think that's a big one. I think we really need to start saying, where are you, who are you, and what side are you on? because I won't have anybody tell me we're not there. We are there. We're in a fascist America. They're closing down our borders. We're becoming isolationists. We have lost our allies. Literally, depending on what we do in Iceland, we may find NATO coming after us if we land in Greenland. We have no business being in Greenland. We have no business being in Venezuela or any of those other places, and I know all of you know this. But I think you got to keep looking at this huge picture of the downfall of America. I'm trying to do this every day, not, so I got to figure that out. But please keep in touch. Please tell me if I'm wrong, and take care of yourself. Be safe. Do what you have to do. Take care of my fellow Americans.